Pull up a chair. This is Fluxtaposed episode 196, recorded on January 3rd, 2018. On the docket today, Josh the Noise Brown is here. IRL, get caught up on what you playing, featuring Undertale and the Open House. Finally, close out the show with the community grab bag and that sweet, sweet, awkward finish. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of Fluxtaposed. We are live on the YouTubes. We are recording to digital podcasting magic, and it's Tuesday. So we're happy to have you here. Thank you for joining in. Chat, hello chat. Welcome. Glad to have you here. If you listen at home, we're glad to have you here. As you can see, it's me, Jason. Lucas, he's here too.
Hey.
Hi, Lucas.
Hi.
And we have special guests making his bi-yearly appearance, Mr. Josh Brown.
That's me. Hi, guys.
How's it going, man?
Good. I apologize for overdressing for the occasion. We had some miscommunication a couple weeks ago when we booked this. You promised me no pants were required. Then you guys went and blew up on the internet. You got a whole bunch of money, and now we have to do these live on YouTube. So my whole wardrobe had to change. It was the best I could do in such a short notice, so I apologize.
You know, I welcome it. I like that you classed up the show a little bit, and we appreciate that. For you audio listeners, Josh has a beautiful orange tuxedo T-shirt that he's rocking. Very reminiscent of Lloyd Christmas outfit.
Yeah,
from
that's intentional.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
just put that mental picture in there, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
But hey, this is 196 of Fluxtaposed. We are rapidly approaching episode 200. It's terrifying. It's a terrifying thing.
It is.
Very terrifying.
We got to think of something interesting to do.
I can only wait for us to do something awesome so I can delete it, and then no one can ever see it. Ever,
what are you talking about?
I don't know.
There's literally no proof that has ever happened, that you've deleted a live show. Because
just my constant bringing it back up.
Only you and I know.
That's true.
Everyone you've told.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, Josh, first of all, Thank you for following our show as long as you have. I don't know if I should say I'm sorry or just be impressed.
You know, every week you guys question why the listeners still listen. And I sit there and I say, why do I still listen? I don't know. And I keep coming back. I haven't taken the time to delete you from my podcast feed. So, I eventually run out of podcasts and yours is just sitting there. It just kind of happens on a weekly basis. So, no, I've been listening to you guys for years now. I always enjoy it. It's one of the few indie podcasts that I listen to and enjoy. I usually yell at you guys a lot when listening.
Yes.
And I'm so tempted to make notes every time. Okay, this week I need to talk to him about this, and this. And then next thing I know, there's a new episode, and I'm like, I don't even know.
I would love a "This is why you're wrong" segment from Josh Brown coming
Yeah.
in.
It would drag down your show quite a bit. So
It would definitely lengthen the show. I mean, there would be so much to cover.
We don't need help with that.
Yeah.
We have a request from the chat that you be called Josh 2 because Josh Bravoni wants to be Josh 1. So
how long has the other Josh been around? Let me just ask that question.
He might have you beat there, Josh Bravoni. Josh Brown's been listening, I think, longer than you.
I mean, I remember episode 100.
Wow. He just threw down the gauntlet.
Oh, and he wants to know on this planet or not. Now he wants to know how old you are.
How old I am? 34. 34.
There you go, Josh.
Yeah.
There you go. We'll let you guys settle this at a later time because I'll do enough bad podcasting as it is. Pat, don't bring me down. So for people that are unfamiliar, Josh, you've been on the show prior and you gave us a slice of what you're up to on the internet. But for people that are unaware, and since it has been a considerable amount of time, how would people might have known you, or what are you doing these days on the interwebs?
Oh boy, that's a tricky question. A whole lot of nothing, yet everything at the same time. My main focus right now is Harry Potter. Let's just put that out there.
I did some investigative work, and I came across that because I was like, because based on what we're going to talk about tonight, when that happened, I was like, ooh, that's a significant blow to what you were doing and involved with. So I was like, what's Josh up to now? And I stumbled across that. Like, he's doing something, having quite success with this project. That's awesome.
So what it is, basic, because if we're going to talk about this at all, and I'm not reading the chat, so I'm staying away from there. But basically, I've never read or watched any Harry Potter before. Okay. So my friend Matt was like just dying over the fact that I gave no credit to Harry Potter whatsoever. Like, I refused to care about it in any way, shape, or form. And he was like, you just have to read the series. And I said, Matt, the only way you're going to get me to read this is if we podcast about it. And he said, okay, I'll take you up on that offer. So we have turned it into like a book club style where we are reading like 2 or 3 chapters a week. We read them outside of the recording, outside the podcast, obviously. And then we come and we podcast, and I basically explain how I feel and what I think about like the 2 chapters that I just read, because it's a brand new experience for me. And the community that we have, every other single person in there has either seen or read Harry Potter in some way, shape, or form. Most of the people that we have in our community have read the books millions of times and seen the movies on repeat pretty much their whole life. So it's interesting for me to get into this phenomenon now. It's been so long since they all came out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm experiencing it for the first time. Everybody, I feel like a lab rat sometimes, because everybody's just like sitting there, like waiting for me to like get to all the major plot points and find out what I think or feel about things. And it's very tricky. But the only reason I preface it with that is because up till this point, I have remained spoiler free through the whole series.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
Nice. Wow.
And do you know how hard it is to keep Harry Potter spoilers out of your life once you start recognizing that they're a thing? Like, over my life, I'm sure I've encountered so many of them, but because I didn't care about Harry Potter, it didn't sit with me. It didn't register at all. So now that I'm like hypersensitive to it, like anytime Harry Potter in any way, shape, or form is mentioned on a podcast or a TV show. Like, I was rewatching The Office and they mentioned Harry Potter. I'm like, nope, turn that off because I don't know where it's going,
Yeah.
So striking up conversations with people about Harry Potter, I have to tell them, hey, look, this is exactly where I am in the book. Please do not tell me anything after that. So just last night, we recorded a 5-hour episode about it because we had just finished the chapter. Have you guys watched Harry Potter or
Yeah,
Read the
I'm
books?
familiar with.
I've read like 2 of the books, and I've watched a handful of the films, but I can't tell you what was the last one I saw. I know I haven't watched all of them.
Like, I feel like I'm going to spoil it for you now. Okay. I
know like the entire story. I'm pretty sure.
So we just finished the chapter where Snape killed Dumbledore.
Okay.
And that's a big thing, apparently.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because all I could think about when you talked about spoilers is like that one video that went out on the internet, like right when that book was released, and someone like drives by a midnight release of the book, and they're like, "Snape kills Dumbledore" out the window.
Yeah, we talked about that last night, and fortunately, I mean, I may have seen that back in the day. It didn't mean anything to me, but so that just happened. So last night we had a 5-hour podcast talking about that.
That's a long 5 hours. That's
you're telling me. Like, I had to stop it because I was like, look, guys, I have Fluxtaposed to do tomorrow. I have to have a little bit of my voice for that show.
Oh man.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where I am. So if anybody wants to like communicate with me about Harry Potter, like, please don't go past that point in the story. But yeah, I mean, that's my main focus right now. That's a weekly thing. It's a lot of fun, but I do lots of other stuff as well. A few other podcasts here and there.
That's awesome. That's really cool, because I feel like people who like Harry Potter like to talk about Harry Potter. So they always want that friend who they can introduce to Harry Potter, much like you. Right. So now everyone's just kind of living vicariously through you, experiencing it all for the first time through your eyes. So.
Right. And mostly like the people that have those friends, like the friends that have at least seen the movies, you know, casually seen certain things and know a little bit. But like, I went in a complete blank slate with no knowledge at all. So yeah, it's been an adventure, not just for me, but for like everybody else that's following along with it. It's been pretty cool. But yeah, that's one of the things that I get into.
Nice.
Awesome. I like that direction. I think that's cool. And definitely for people that like, I feel like people that are really passionate about that story and universe, like probably can get behind someone else seeing it for the first time or experience it for the first time, you know, like those fresh eyes, like that journey. I'd love to see something like that for Star Wars, but I feel like that's harder and harder
impossible
to do.
Yeah.
Plus,
people thought that about Harry Potter too when
it
started. They're like, "How have you never?" I'm like, "I didn't care." So there's someone out there like me for Star Wars, right?
Now,
plus the Star Wars fans are so jaded and
that's
true about it. It wouldn't be. What do you mean you don't like it?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, how come you never really checked it out before this?
High fantasy like that, like wizards and magic and witchcraft and that kind of stuff, like never appealed to me really. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, like it just I honestly like really don't know why. It just was like, no, that's not just for me. You know? Yeah. And even as a guy with kids, like that should have been an easy way for me to be introduced to it, and it just never happened. So
is it how do you find it now then? Like, are you glad you're doing this and you're
I love it now.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm all in.
That must be really tough if you're just like, I hate every minute of this.
Well, that was the thing with my friend. Like I promised him, I was like, look, I can't promise you that I will do the whole series. I could give you one book. I will do one book. And if it doesn't grab me after the first book, like I'm not going to waste my time doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're in. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad it's working for you guys. I'm glad it's taking off. That's awesome. So congrats to that. Pleasure to have you back, by the way. So welcome back. Welcome back to Fluxtaposed. Hopefully the scenery is slightly improved. The smell, we've gotten rid of the smell a little bit since your last time.
Well, it's a dad's club now, so
that's true.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. I figured that's why you guys had me on. You're like just itching for like all kinds of like parenting advice and whatnot. So
what is I was just gonna say, what's your number one tip? What's your hot tip for parenting?
Well, I'm up to 6 kids now, so one's a good number. My oldest just got accepted to Washington State University. He's going to be going there in the fall.
Nice.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know, like 6 is a lot. That's my parenting tip.
Yeah,
but Have fun. I tell this to everybody, like cherish every time that you get to spend with them, because it goes by too quick. I mean, you guys already know how quickly it goes by, but and it's so cliche, but I look at my almost 18-year-old now, and like he came into my life when he was 5, and I've been with him ever since. But like you blink and it's gone, you know.
Yeah.
And it's tough, you know, like when you sit back and you're just like, what happened, you know. Then you start getting that itch, like, man, I'm gonna have grandkids soon. That's pretty cool, because you get all the pleasures of like being a parent and like having all those fun times with them, but then like you get to ship them off to the parents. I have a little nephew that was born last May, and like I took him to the zoo for the first time the other day, and I was like, yeah, this is perfect, because as soon as he starts getting grumpy or something, I'm like, you're out, kid. Like, go home. So
tough to do that with your own.
Yeah. Oh, it's really tough. Yeah. Most of them are of age now where they're pretty self-independent. So yeah, it's fun.
That's
but
good.
Cherish the moments. Cherish even the tough ones and the bad ones and the frustrating ones, because you will miss those regardless. So,
but not 6 times though. Don't do it. Don't cherish them 6 times. We're on the fence about having a second one, so
yeah, make that decision soon, you know, because you'll get to that point where like you have like an older one, and then like you're gonna go back and have like a newborn again, like
right, yeah,
that's a tough cycle to start over. So that would be my advice, is make that decision quick, or you know, maybe it's not up to you. I might not be.
That's true. That's a very good point.
You can be in control somewhat. That's all I can say. So
that's true.
That's true.
But no, I mean, you guys are dads now. How are you liking it? Loving it, right?
It's amazing. Every day. Every day is amazing.
I love it, but our experiences are so different, because I'm at home with my son all day, and you go to work.
Yeah.
So like you're always missing your kid.
Yeah,
and
I get
I
get like 3 hours a day, maybe during the week total. You know, until the weekends, and then So yeah.
I'm in the
terrible tons of pictures and FaceTimes though, so that helps.
That helps. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm in the terrible twos, of course, and so Isaac, especially today, was getting it. I don't know how many times I told this kid, "Don't do that. No, please stop. Go do something else." And he would just look at me, and he would just like slowly, I'm gonna do it anyway. I know you're saying no, but I'm gonna do it. And I'm just like, kid, I need a break from you.
Aiden does that already, and we'll let him hold our phones, just because he wants to have it all the time. So I'll shut my screen off so he can't turn on, because I'm like, that way it's just a black object. Go ahead. You can have it, and that way it's not like this mystical thing he wants to have. And he'll be like, he'll hold it. He thinks, like the one night we gave him both our phones, I've never heard him squeal. He was like, it was like the greatest thing ever. I had 2 iPhones. It was amazing.
Now I have the power.
Watch this. But he'll take the phone, and he'll go hold it slowly up, and he'll look at you, and he keeps bringing it closer to his mouth, and he's like, I'm like, don't put it in your mouth. Nope. And then he'll stop, and then he'll look at you again and slowly bring it. And then it's
just
like,
wait until
hey,
he
do it one more
throws
time. I got to take it away.
that.
Yeah. So it's always, it's crazy the stuff they do and capable of, even at a young age. I mean,
and yet you still love them.
Yep. That's right.
Mostly.
Mostly.
Yes. Nothing wrong with a little free time.
Since we're on the subject of life, what a better topic to roll into, a little IRL talk.
Sure.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Let's get an update. What's been going on the past week? How's life?
Nothing other than recovering.
That's true. You're almost healthy. I mean, if you notice, listeners, he didn't quite explode your ears with
that's true.
The T-virus cough tonight.
I've been timing it. I'm down to 1 cough every 45 seconds to 10 minutes if I'm lucky. So there's a big variable there, but it's better than, last episode when it was about once every sentence. So other than that, we filmed Battle of the Beer on Saturday. That was my big thing that I was looking forward to, and We did it.
Our last session of the season.
Yep. Finished season 2, I guess, technically, and had a couple episodes that were not so great for beer. If you like beer, they were pretty rough. And then
you guys will want to stay tuned. We've got a domestic beer battle spectacular.
Yes, just in time for the Super
great.
Bowl. You'll know through us. You'll know what beer to buy. Well, domestic beer for the Super Bowl, whether that be for the poor saps who come over to your house and don't bring beer, or if you yourself are more of a domestics person. We got a little something for everybody in that episode. So, but we
I usually
strong.
wait to see the commercials before I did make that decision.
That's true. I will buy whoever's beer had the best commercial. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but except for 2 out of the 5 we tried, there's not a whole lot of difference anyway. So I guess you're either all set or you're going to suffer equally, depending on how you want to look at it.
Yeah.
No matter who you choose. So, but yeah, Battle of the Beer, it was fun. So
It's always fun. It's always fun.
Next week, Wednesday should be the Super Bowl episode, or sorry, big game beers or whatever we have to call it.
We can't say
NFL.
Can't say Super Bowl.
Yeah, you guys just got a takedown on your
That's true.
video. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
We're used to that here. We're still fighting the WWE from 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or 6 weeks ago.
We're fighting the top tier of entertainment. We're going head to head, and I have a feeling we're going to win that battle, Jason.
It makes me sad, honestly, because you guys were like just starting to get into a groove about like talking about wrestling. And I'm like, yes, this is fantastic. And then that happened, and you guys like, we're never talking about wrestling again. It's like, well, okay, now I have to delete you guys. Yeah, you're gone.
I will say my social media channels got lit last night with Raw. Everyone's talking about Steve Austin and
really
going nuts. Everyone's going nuts about
all the old guys came back.
Yeah. Apparently, so that would, I would know what was going on. It would be relevant.
That's what I was just gonna say. People I would know.
It was the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they brought back a whole bunch of former wrestlers that had made the show something over the last 25 years, and they made it just one big nostalgia play at people's heartstrings. Yeah,
that's cool. I like it. I could get behind that.
How many wrestlers did they have to do a memorandum for who didn't survive that long?
I mean, they did do something for China, which was nice.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah,
because DX, came back and they did have like a special nod to her, like, "Hey, we wish she was here," type of thing, which was really cool because WWE and China were kind of on the outs, because of her drug addictions and everything like that. They tried to distance themselves from her.
Yeah.
Even though when she did pass, like they did have like a little in memory of type of thing, but it was cool that they acknowledged her last night. Because I mean, she was a big part of it for several years. So
yeah, and a big part of female wrestling. I mean,
oh yeah.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively, she. I feel like she was one of the most popular female wrestlers. I feel like anyway. So.
Oh yeah, I mean this weekend is the Royal Rumble, and she was the first female to ever enter the Royal Rumble.
Wow!
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
At this weekend, they actually have a separate Royal Rumble match that are just the women wrestlers for the first time ever. Like they have their own Royal Rumble match, cool. Which is really cool. And then like you have to look back and you have to acknowledge that China was like the first woman in a Royal Rumble match back when it was like way before like they acknowledged women as like athletes.
I feel like it was back when like the only other female wrestling was bra and panty matches, and it's and then
mud wrestling and elbow wrestling.
Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah. Well, she didn't wrestle, but I mean,
she was there.
Well, he was dead by then, but I mean,
yeah. But she was going out there and she was doing it with the big boys instead of being just the eye candy that I feel like they at that, what was it, early 2000s when they kind of became a little racy and kind of were trying that whole thing out.
Yeah, late 90s, early 2000s, it was the Attitude Era. And I mean, China was an athlete, first and foremost. And she, I don't think, got enough credit when she was wrestling for what she was doing out there. And looking back, like you see where women's wrestling is now. And like, I mean, she pioneered where we're at right now. So
Yeah.
Hot wrestling takes.
Wrestling takes. All I know about wrestling, I learned from watching Glow. That's all I got.
Yeah. Okay. I have a suggestion for you guys. Now we're talking about wrestling. Yeah. I mean, I know this probably goes into the what you're playing type of thing, but you know what?
That's right.
It's okay.
Tonight. There's a new movie that just came out. It's called Heel Kick.
Heel Kick.
Hold on, let me get my mechanical keyboard fired up.
Yeah, me too.
For the first time, what is it, like half hour into the show? Not
bad. Right.
So it's called Heel Kick. It's like a mockumentary style.
Oh,
film.
Nice. Okay.
And it's following these two guys that claim to be backyard wrestlers, and they're not really backyard wrestlers. They're just a couple of stoners that have mattresses in their backyard that do wrestling moves on.
We know some people like that.
We know some people like that.
Yeah. Well, one of the main character, who's also the director of the film and made the whole thing, his brother basically challenges them to like do something with their lives, and he's like, I will pay for wrestling school if you guys go, but the thing is, you have to go every day. You have to give it a serious attempt. You have to try your hardest. You have to train. You have to put maximum effort in, and if you slip up once, you're done, and you have to quit wrestling. You have to quit playing wrestling video games. You have to quit being stoners.
Oh no.
Like wrestling has to be out of your life, and you have to go get a real job.
Oh,
so like the mockumentary is chronicling these two friends in their adventures going to this wrestling school, and they're not athletic at all. Like I said, they're stoners. They smoke daily. They don't like exercise. They have no motivation to do anything, but it's a hilarious film. It is incredibly funny for wrestling fans and like for non-wrestling fans. Like you don't have to be in the know of wrestling to understand it and like it and enjoy it.
Okay.
That's
good. And is that available on any streaming services?
No, it just released to purchase. It's on like iTunes, Amazon, Google Play.
I've got like $15 of Google Play credit sitting out there.
Yeah,
so
totally worth it. Like it has some subtle wrestling jokes. Like they talk about The Wrestler, that movie, The Wrestler.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and some other things that are in the wrestling industry, but if you don't know what's going on, you'll never sit there and be like, okay, this movie's not for me. It's a comedy first that just kind of uses wrestling as the vehicle.
Okay.
Nice.
So
cool.
Yeah. Top-notch recommendation.
Yeah,
all right.
I'll check it out.
We'll roll with that for sure. Yeah. Lucas, anything else you need to add? Or is BOTB? That's the highlight?
That's my big thing. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, going on the movie theme, we've got a movie night. Me and the wifey planned for Friday.
Oh.
Got the mother-in-law coming over, going out on the town. Sans baby. Gonna go see I, Tanya. So I've been looking forward to checking that out, and it literally didn't come to any of the like major theaters here. So it's coming at the Urban Institute for Contemporary Arts, where we saw what was that crap there?
Mama, or no?
Not Mama. Good Night, Mommy.
Good Night, Mommy.
So still disappointed in that. So we'll go there and check that out. So looking forward to a night on the town there. And beyond that, I got the right before I think right around the same time we recorded last week, I finally received my my Elgato, and I've been kind of fumbling with that for like the past week, trying to get streaming with my Switch, and I've been riding the struggle bus with that thing, and I didn't really pay attention to the requirements. I got an HD 60S, and my PC meets all of the requirements except the processor. My processor has the right number of cores, but it's an older version. Like mine's a 2600, and I think they recommended like the 4X generations. But it really shouldn't be an issue, because with like the newer versions of the software, and at least with that Elgato specifically, you can use your video card for all the encoding. So my processor doesn't even come into play. So like when I'm streaming something, I'm using like 5% of my processor. I don't know why it's a big deal. But it also uses USB 3.0 because it has like real-time game preview. That's like the whole thing of the 60S. It has real-time game preview. When you connect it, you see there's no delay between your game and the hardware. For whatever reason, though, my PC can only push out. I'm only getting like 50 FPS. It like fluctuates from 40 to 50. I cannot get 60, and I can't figure out, do I just have bad janky USB ports? I mean, they are on board. So I mean, the motherboard's old, is it really the processor causing the problem? I don't know. So either way, I've been messing with it. I was doing Twitch streams. The first night was terrible. Second night, I finally had somewhat decent performance. I'd have some weird jagginess for whatever reason. So tonight, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to try YouTube for whatever reason. There was a software update. I've been using OBS Studio instead of standard OBS for whatever reason. There's a software update for that. I streamed to YouTube. YouTube. It's like the best it's ever performed. It wasn't like perfect, but still, it was like a hiccup every so often, but not nearly as bad as Twitch. And I can't understand why I've made no really changes. Why is it all of a sudden magically better on YouTube compared to Twitch? I don't know. So it's like back in my head, I'm like, gosh, why did I pay the money for the 60S when it sounds like I could have gotten just like an HD and I would have had better luck because I can't stream to 60 frames per second anyway. But now it's just like, hey Jess, I gotta upgrade my computer now. I gotta stream in 60 frames per second, so I need a new motherboard and processor. So you gotta let me do it.
That's cool, right?
Yeah,
you gotta let me do it.
I hope it's cool because I bought them.
I figured you'd be okay with it.
So forgiveness, not permission,
right?
That's
so
true.
maybe a couple months down the road, maybe around my birthday, I might like to finally upgrade. But now, at least if I can stream to YouTube, I mean, I'm not looking to get into like streaming by any means, but I've always wanted to at least like stream some gameplay of a console. So I knew it like can't be my PC too much because I can stream PC games fairly well, and that's with the PC doing all the lifting. You know, it's running the game and encoding it and pushing it out. So I'm like, my computer should be able to stream a console when all it has to do is do the encoding. I don't, you know. So chat's telling me to try Mixer. I don't know what it is about Mixer. I can't get behind Mixer. I don't know why. It's got that like that better almost dare near real time interaction between. There's like no delay, which you have on Twitch and YouTube. But maybe Josh, maybe I will. Thank you for the suggestion, sir. Maybe we'll stream some Sea of Thieves on Mixer. There you go. So that I'll keep tweaking it. So look for that down the road.
Tweak it, twerk it,
work it, do it, mix it, multiply it. something technologic. How's that Daft Punk song go?
Just like that, I think. Yeah, I think that was the exact words.
Copyright strike.
Yes. The robots are coming to kill you.
Just have a copyright like a little bell. Ding. Here we go.
I don't have anything on my desk that I can replicate that with.
Next time.
So that's our IRL. That's what we got caught up with. It's been good times. It's all been fun. Josh, do you have anything fun, notable you'd like to share with us, the audience? At home?
It's not super new, but I guess like to you guys it is. I'm going to go back and like recount the last year and a half of my life, so you guys can get caught up in what I've been up to.
Day by day, please.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. Shortly before Christmas, we adopted a dog. It's our first family dog. We went to the Humane Society here and picked one out because it just feels gross to like go to dog breeders and buy a dog for many hundreds of dollars. Especially when there's like perfectly good dogs sitting in shelters waiting for good homes. So we found one. He's a Beagle mix. He's a mixed pit bull with like possibly something else, but like, so he has like the face of a pit bull and he's all black and he has a white chest, but he's super long like a beagle and he has short little legs like a beagle, and it cracks me up. But he's like a year and a half. He was brought up from Bakersfield, California. He was a stray apparently his whole life, and he's full size, and you know, we got him. He was a little bit bigger than we were looking to get, but like we kind of fell in love with him right away. And he's kind of the best dog. He thinks he's a lap dog, which is awesome. He has like separation anxiety where he just like wants to be by people at all times. But not to where it's ever like detrimental to us. Like he just likes to cuddle and be petted. And we've heard him bark like once, and that was like at a bird. Like he just let off one bark and that was it. And it was like, okay. And since then, like, we haven't heard him bark at all. He was house potty trained right away. Like, he doesn't have any accidents, like nothing. He goes to bed about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. He'll just go upstairs and go lay in his bed.
Dude, my in-laws dog does that. It's like it's not 8 o'clock. It's like she wants to go to bed. And
he's just passed out. And like, I'll come upstairs and go to bed, and he's just laying in his bed, and I'll cover him up with his blanket or whatever, and he'll stay in his bed until like 6:30 in the morning, where he'll jump up in bed with us and then just continue to sleep until we get up. You know, like, he doesn't try to get us up or push us out to go take him out or anything. He's the best dog, and he's adorable. So that's been a great addition to our already large and extended family. So
teach the kids responsibility, right?
Take them on walks and feeding them, and luckily we live like right behind a park.
Oh, awesome.
And it's like it's not a dog park, but it's like a big wooded area, and it's like has a 1.5 to 2 mile roundabout trail all the way through it, and plenty of trees and overgrown bushes and that kind of stuff. And he just loves walking along, and because he's a beagle, he has to smell everything. Like, his nose is down the ground the entire time. Like, I feel like we're like looking for dead bodies every time we go walking. And I'm like, what if he actually finds one? Like, I'm a little concerned sometimes, but
this is going to be an episode of Unsolved Mysteries update.
But he just walks around with his nose on the ground, just smelling everything, and it cracks me up. But that's been a fun addition to our family. So
awesome.
Other than that, I mean, playing games, watching movies. I got Movie Pass too, and that's something I enjoy. I signed up for that like as soon as they dropped that price down to $10.
Yeah.
Like, listening to like your experience, like waiting for the card, I was like, oh man, I already have my card. Like, I know that feeling, like, just want it. And we live maybe 2 blocks away from our local mall, which has a really nice movie theater in it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So late at night, like when I'm the only one up, like I just go to movies like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I just go by myself. Like I could sit at home and watch a Netflix show that I've already seen, or I could go see a new movie and, you know, spend 2 hours doing that. And
well, hell, it's cheaper than Netflix now.
Heck yeah.
Because
so
they went up
that's
to
true.
$10.99. So
yeah.
Gosh, that's nuts. I should get on that gravy train too before they realize that they need to raise the price.
then we can
Like,
go together.
one movie a month and it pays for it.
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
much.
that's true. That's really true.
Yeah.
Get that refillable popcorn bucket.
Oof. That's
Bring
what
your
I'm
own
all about,
drink and
man.
don't tell anyone. Sir, why are you wearing a long trench coat? It's 90 degrees outside. Shut up! I can do whatever I want.
I have 3 2-liters in here.
Wear sweatpants. You could hide all kinds of stuff in the band.
That's true. How do you know I'm not already?
Oh boy. So I thought it was fitting. Last time Josh was on here, well, there doesn't really have anything to do with last time Josh was on here, but when around that same time, it like you had started and it took off a podcast that featured the Toys to Life genre.
Yeah.
That was the main focus of your podcast. And
Toys for games.
You guys, it like blew up on you, which was awesome. And that whole market, I mean, blew up. And then within the past year, it just collapsed, fell apart, disintegrated, destroyed itself, essentially. So I thought it'd be interesting to get your perspective as someone that was in, so to speak, that while Lucas and I were very much not, to kind of get your take in like your, I want to say inside opinion, but like your thoughts on what happened. And, you know, are we going to, do you think we'll ever see a resurgence here?
Okay. So when we started Toys for Games, we said from the beginning, it was my friend Jason and I, we started it just a couple months after Amiibo first came out. So Skylanders was already out and established. Disney Infinity had already been out for a year or less than a year. And Amiibo had just came out. And that's when we're like, okay, this is a thing that we need to get on and start. But we said from the beginning, it's a bubble. It will burst. We know like this isn't a permanent thing. We've seen it come and go in the video game industry time and time again with different things, and this is going to be one of those things. And we rode that wave as hard as we could until that bubble burst like we knew it would. The downfall is hard to pinpoint, but it all comes down to oversaturation, and people just got tired of buying physical things. You saw the decline of buying toys for life stuff, toys to life, and the increase of going all digital. We're not there yet with video games, obviously,
right?
But we're slowly moving that direction of all digital. And buying toys, like, it was fun, but it got to a point where it was just too much. Skylanders was coming out with a new game every year, and they were doing good. The best thing they had going for them were all of your old figures would always work in the new games. So you could get the new cool figures that had the new cool gimmicks, but you weren't required to in order to play, because all of your old stuff would still carry over figure wise. So that was a good thing. But people like collecting things, and people like getting the new hotness, so why am I going to play with this toy from 3 years ago when I could get this cool new one that, breaks apart or has a vehicle with it, or, so that was like Skylanders thing. But their biggest problem was, other than Spyro, there wasn't marketing appeal to any of the other characters, to broader audiences. It have the IP behind it to carry it. And they did great with the brand that they created, but that would only go so far. Like, they have a Netflix cartoon, which is fine, but it's meant for fans of Skylanders. It's not necessarily,
it's not going to bring new people into Skylanders.
I've actually watched it, and having not done any of the Skylander stuff, it's fairly decent for kids, especially. But like you said, honestly, if I didn't know Skylanders was a Toys to Life game, I would have no clue, which in a way is kind of good, because then it doesn't just feel like they're trying to sell you toys. But at the same time,
they did make that separation pretty clear.
It doesn't seem to, I don't know, mesh those ideas together. It was just kind of how else do we make, what else do we do with these characters that we've made? So
I mean, like, kudos to them for like expanding the brand and like acknowledging that, hey, Toys to Life isn't going to be a thing for much longer, so let's carry the Skylander brand that we've been working on for the last 6 years and make money elsewhere with it. They haven't officially said that they are done making Toys to Life games. They took last year off, and they said, like, hey, we're taking a break. Like, it could be the Assassin's Creed thing where they just needed to take a break to kind of reset.
It's true.
Or they were just taking a break to kind of feel out the market and see if it was worth doing. So either way, they haven't come down on a hard stance as to what they're doing next. But I would like to think that if they come back with a game, it's going to be just a straight up digital video game with no toys association.
Okay.
I'd be fine. Playing the games are a lot of fun. They make really good games. People just get, burnt out on buying the toys and using them.
Right. So, I could see that going either way with that break, because it comes back and the market is like invigorated and they're excited to get back into that, or they're still like, nope, I still don't want this. And now I know I don't want it.
And they kind of have a proof of concept with their last game that they released was Skylanders Imaginators. And the Switch came out this last March, right? The Nintendo Switch.
Yep.
And it launched with Skylanders Imaginators, which was a game that had come out the October before that. So it was an older game, and it was ported over to a Switch. But the thing about it was, all you had to do is scan in your characters onto the Joy-Con. It would register it. Then you could throw the toy away. You would never have to scan it again. And you could play the game with all of your characters scanned in without ever having to carry your toys around. So they proved that what they were doing all along wasn't necessary by making that game. So I would not be surprised to see them come back with just a digital version, because like they proved that they could make a fun game without having to scan in the toys and swap them out, and, as they go along. So curious to see what happens there, but I would bet a lot of money that we're not going to see any more toys from them.
It's surprising too, because you thought with like Disney Infinity, for example, that had such a library, or such a lot the properties that they had there, that especially they had Star Wars. You think those licenses would help carry that, further.
The licenses are what actually killed that game. They named the game Disney Infinity. They promised infinite experiences. And then they put all of their properties and licenses behind paywalls and kept them separate. So, once Disney Infinity 2.0 brought in the Marvel characters, which was fine, but it was not based on the MCU. So the characters look different, like they fit the Disney Infinity artwork, but like people were already kind of head over heels over the MCU and what they know to be Captain America and Iron Man and all that. So they were playing off of the fact that people were really digging Marvel, but then not giving them what they really wanted with Marvel. But with that game, you couldn't cross over. You couldn't have Marvel characters playing in the Disney play sets and vice versa. The Marvel could only play in the Marvel play sets.
That's
and even that was limited. Like you could only have a couple of the characters that could actually cross over into the other play sets. So like there's a Guardians of the Galaxy play set and a Spider-Man play set and Avengers, I think, or Iron Man. I can't remember the other play set, but like only Rocket could leave Guardians and go and play in the Spider-Man, as opposed to like any of the other Guardians that were locked in there. So
rather limited.
Yeah, so you couldn't even have like crossover within the Marvel universe, but like you try to bring a Disney character in, they're like, no, we're not going to allow this, because Marvel lawyers were very particular on how their brand was represented in this game, even though Disney owns all of it, right? So then fast forward to Disney 3.0 and you have Star Wars and you're like, okay, this is it. This is what's going to bring people in. Star Wars is big. Everybody's loving it. Disney has to figure out what they're doing here, right? No, same thing. And even worse is because this game came to like the new generation of consoles, much like 2.0 did, but 1.0 was still on like PS3, Xbox 360. And all of those play sets wouldn't actually be able to be played in 3.0. So you had people coming in because of Star Wars saying like, hey, I'm going to check this game out. But then they couldn't go back and play Pirates of the Caribbean playset or like Monsters University or any of that stuff because they bought a game on the PS4 and those other ones only worked on PS3s. And like it was still limited. You couldn't bring Marvel characters into the Star Wars universe. Like how cool would it have been to have Iron Man and, Yoda, teaming up, playing one of the levels from Force Awakens,
Right. I feel
but
like
they didn't allow it. But
I feel like that's Marvel, what kids that age want. Like in that age range, they're all, kids that age are always taking their toys from all different things and putting them together. And
yeah,
I feel like that was supposed to be the digital representation of being able to do that.
It should have been, and parents bought it thinking, okay, this is gonna be cool. Like my kid loves, Marvel already. They know these Disney movies. We're introducing them to Star Wars possibly for the first time, and they're falling in love with Rey and Finn and Poe. And it's like, okay, we're gonna buy this game because they can play with all of their favorite characters. And it's like, no, you can only do certain things with certain characters, and it was just so defeating. And people, they had a bunch of new people come in with 3.0 because of Star Wars, and those are the people that said, no, this isn't what you're promising or advertising with this game. Like there was a mode, like a toy box mode, where you could go and create your own level and you could play with whatever character and mix and match there, but those levels aren't fun. Kids are creative, but not creative to the point where they're making full, complete level experiences.
Right.
they want to just jump in and break stuff or smash stuff and have fun. And
They want to wreck it.
Yeah, exactly. And so the fact that Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars, those three brands couldn't coexist in one game that promised all three would coexist, there's no way they could move forward from that, and the sales showed it. And Disney is known to pull the plug on things before they lose money. I don't think they were losing money on the game, but I think that they looked at projections for the next few years and they said it's not worth it.
Shareholders said we need more money. This isn't going to do it.
And even if they weren't going to lose money, it's still they weren't making enough money for them to care about it.
Right. Well, it sounds like they kind of box themselves into a corner with the idea that they have there. Like, what else can you do? Just keep making games based on properties, and then you can only have this play set in this game. It's like you're making separate games almost.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that led to Lego Dimensions, right?
Yeah.
Lego said,
we're going to do everything.
Yeah, we do what Disney don't. We're like, hey, you want Simpsons and Portal in the same game?
They had Gremlins.
Yeah, go for it. Have fun. Do whatever you want. Mix and match as much as you want. And it was great. It was so good. And year one of Lego Dimensions came out, and it was fantastic. Year two was advertised. It was going to be good. They were bringing in Harry Potter. Like, Harry Potter was coming into, Lego Dimensions, and people lost their minds about it. And like you said, they're going to have Gremlins, and they're going to have Beetlejuice, and they're going to have Powerpuff Girls, and Ghostbusters. And that was tricky because it was new Ghostbusters, and people don't like the new Ghostbusters because women.
We can't have these uppity women trying to do stuff.
Yeah, look at them trying to get into our Lego game.
They're going to want to vote.
Yeah, awful. So everything was looking good with year two of Lego Dimensions, and they had promised a 3-year plan. You're going to buy one starter pack, and over the course of 3 years, all they're going to do is release new content for that starter pack. They weren't going to go the route of you need a new starter pack every year, a new game disc, new everything. Just keep adding on to what's already there. So people invested early on. They're like, okay, this is a 3-year plan. After that, maybe I'll be done with it. Maybe we'll continue, whatever. Year two comes along, and they start adding content. They had Sonic. Lego Dimensions, and I will say this, is the best Sonic the Hedgehog video game ever created. And that even says something with Sonic Mania that was released last year. Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog level pack in Lego Dimensions is the funnest, best Sonic experience I've ever played in a video game.
Wow.
They had so much going for them, but every time they added new content, they had to push out a new patch into the game. Expected, right? Because it wasn't a new disc.
Right.
Patches happen all the time. Every time they pushed out a patch, it messed up people's games. People were losing saves. People were losing all of their content. People weren't able to access certain areas of certain games. Like, games were getting corrupted. Lego figures suddenly weren't registering. Problem after problem. And every patch that they installed to fix a previous bug ended up breaking something else, to the point where they're just like, okay, this is as good as it's going to get until 3 months from now when we release new content, and we'll put out another patch and an update for this new content. And then they'd put that out, and it would start all over again.
Wow.
So, like, the behind the scenes infrastructure of the game was so broken because they kept trying to add on to it. And that, like,
they wanted to make it modular, but it really wasn't.
Right. And people, after like the first couple times of this happening, they're like, why are we going to buy this stuff anymore if it's just breaking the game? Like, cool, it's Legos and we get cool figures. Like, where else am I going to get a Gremlins Lego figure or A-Team, but
that's for sure.
But it's breaking the game that they promised that would be good for 3 years. So
yeah.
The drop off was so quick on that game, and it's just because the game was broken. They broke the game internally, and they're a busy studio. They make all the other Lego games as well. Like they were making Lego Jurassic World and the Lego Star Wars game and Marvel games and DC. Like they were still making those while doing Lego Dimensions, but they thought the toys and like the concept alone would be enough to carry the game and let people just have fun with it. And people were like, no, you're not fixing this game for us. Like we want to play it, but it's so broken we can't without starting all over. People were having to send in Lego figures to their customer service because like they weren't registering at all.
That's huge.
That's the last thing you want to do with that.
It's the number one thing it's supposed to do.
Yeah. So that sunk it. That was it. And they quit. They barely finished the year 2 promise. And then they said, that's it. We're done.
We're done.
Yeah. That's embarrassing.
I'm going to go on record and say, like, I don't think Amiibo are that great. Like in terms of function and in terms of functionality, I mean, Amiibo kind of suck.
I feel like Nintendo I feel like they just wanted to sell statuettes, and then they were like, "Well, we got to make them do something."
For that, I'm all on board. And you know what? There's like millions upon millions of other people. That's what because how many people don't even take them out of the box?
Yeah, that's what I was just.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I've got Mario chilling right up there. I've got a Mario. I've got a handful of others to sit there. Have I used them? I finally used them in the game when I wanted random meat to fall from the sky in Breath of the Wild.
That's what random meat.
Yeah, I'm all about random meat. But there's a t-shirt slogan right there.
Especially when it's coming from above you.
But I mean, they're like as a collectible, they're cool. I love that they're little statues of some of my favorite figures. When like I waited for how many years for Falco Lombardi to get released on an Amiibo, and that was like I was all over that. And now we've got like the Shovel Knight Amiibo coming out. I want those because I don't know why. Because that's what happens with Nintendo properties and Nintendo fans. We want things we don't know why, and just just here's my money, But I think as from an application standpoint, I don't think there's been anything amazing that an Amiibo have done at all. Like they add nothing to their games. They don't do. I mean, I think Smash Brothers still, I think, had the biggest Amiibo edition, and all that is like, oh, you can train it and take it over to your friend's house. Yeah. Okay, what do you do?
You want to know the secret behind all of that?
Yes.
Nintendo delivered exactly what they said they were going to do. They never promised anything with Amiibo other than you'll be able to use these in a bunch of random games for a bunch of random things. You're never going to need them. They're never going to be barriers, paywalls, anything like that. You're never going to not be able to experience a game because you haven't bought an Amiibo. They're just going to be fun little toys that will bring small little additions to a bunch of our different games. And that's what they do. And that's all they do.
They didn't overpromise.
No, absolutely. And they still haven't, and here's the thing. Like, if you want to talk about like Amiibo jumping the shark, let's talk about the fact that a cereal box is now an Amiibo.
Right? What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Super Mario cereal. It has an NFC reader.
It is an Amiibo on the cereal box. Like you just take your box and you can scan it into your Joy-Con and bam, random meat falling from the sky.
I see.
Random cereal meat.
Yeah, I heard the cereal's not that good either. So
it was okay.
I guess. Hey, did we just get our episode title? Random Sky Meat.
Can't wait to do the art for that one.
Yeah.
I hope you put Ron Jeremy in the picture.
I'm gonna put something in the picture. All right.
So Amiibo, like, Nintendo doesn't need them like they did 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
2 years ago, they kept that company afloat. They kept Nintendo relevant. They kept. They provided the money probably to make sure the Switch happened. The Wii U certainly wasn't doing it.
No.
But it was Amiibo. And speculate all you want on whether or not Nintendo accidentally didn't produce enough Amiibo to start or did it intentionally. But the fact that you couldn't get Amiibo, like, okay, honestly, did anybody really care about a Marth Amiibo? No.
Right.
But you did because you couldn't have it. And like all the other Fire Emblem characters, 9 out of 99 out of 100 amiibo collectors couldn't care less about the Fire Emblem characters. But because it was so hard to get, they became hot commodities. Whatever the reasons, Nintendo did it right, and they've never overpromised, and they're not. They haven't boxed themselves into a corner like the other Toys to Life franchises have, because they can put out whatever they want. They could throw an amiibo chip onto literally anything at this point, and not care about it at all. They're not going to have to patch in games or fix things or worry about collecting too much. Like, buy them if you want. Don't. There's a giant Detective Pikachu coming out. It's $30. Does anybody need that big of a Detective Pikachu amiibo? No. Is anybody going to use it? No.
But will they buy it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Chat has brought up Wii Fit Trainer as a good example.
Yeah. I'd like to think with Wii Fit Trainer, somebody who has no idea, like you take it and you put it on your desk at work or something because you're like, oh, I like Nintendo. And then somebody who doesn't have any clue what that is, they come by and they're like, why do you have a weird statue of a girl doing yoga on your
person
desk?
Likes yoga a lot.
Yeah, you must really like yoga. What is that about? And then they're like,
can I just say, I probably would have never even gotten amiibo, but Lucas bought me my first one. Yeah. Fun fact. Three years ago. No, you bought me Link for my birthday 3 years ago.
Oh, God, I don't even remember.
Mega Man wasn't out yet. It's like, in terms of amiibo, he's crappy because it's just like the worst designed amiibo. One of the ones they came with. But
he's got the P stream coming out, right?
Yeah. Yes, the P block he's standing on. Yep. So what's your take on PlayStation all of a sudden, or Sony all of a sudden be like, hey, we're going to make some stuff now?
They're not NFC. You can't use them in anything. They're just little statues. They're basically what amiibo are. You can't use them for anything. Sure, good on Sony. Like, capitalize on the fact that people like buying merchandise of their favorite characters and games and properties. So I'm surprised they didn't do it a couple years ago, to be honest.
Not everyone wants to buy a statuette from what's that popular website? Oh gosh, not ThinkGeek. I can't think of the company that makes a ton of them, but they're like Premiere, they're like $250, $350 statues. Right, like, don't worry, we've got payment plans for you.
Well,
not everyone wants those. They want a cool collectible, but
that's a good point, because even if you buy a collector's edition of something, that's still like $150, $200. So it kind of fills that in between area where you want something physical that's not just a poster or a T-shirt. Yeah. It fills that little area, $15 or $20 or whatever.
People like collecting things. What it comes down to, I mean, it's been like that for as long as people have been able to pick up things. So
first, you should see my stick collection.
What's the site I was thinking of?
For instance, figures.
Yeah, they have a Shovel Knight, for example. Their Shovel Knight statue, $300. I mean, it's insane, but I mean, the quality is top notch.
Sure, yeah, but people don't have that kind of cash laying around. But casual Crash Bandicoot fan, they're like, you know what? I really like Crash. I'd like a little small figurine of Crash sitting on my desk at work to make me smile. Sure, go for it. Have fun.
Chat has a great point. Funko Pop could rule the world if they made Nintendo.
No, because Funko Pop, they take whatever figure they're making and they put it in that stupid square black-eyed creepy ass mold that they do with every single one, and it looks like shit. And I don't know, I'm sorry if you collect Funko Pop. I have some back there.
Yeah, I see a Stormtrooper back there.
They've been given to me. They're okay, but some of them are terrible.
That's why I like the one I got. I have a Reinhardt from Overwatch Funko Pop, and he's got a helm on, so he has no black beady eyes. They're not there. You don't have to worry about it.
But
I do have a Grunkle. I have a Grunkle stand from Gravity Falls. I have one of him too, but he's inferior made because he won't even stand up on his own. His one leg is like shorter than the other, so it's like on an angle, and you stand up, and he's like, he just falls over constantly. So I gotta like tape him to my desk. I don't know.
Nice. So no, Funko Pop will not be ruling the world.
No, I mean those will end eventually too. Like they've already diversified what they put out as far as collectibles and have different lines to keep people interested.
There's so many. I went into a GameStop and there's a whole wall of them.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
that's the state of toys to life, guys. It's
a sorry state.
Plastic is so 2015. We're moving on to cardboard now. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
Now we got box to life.
Yeah.
life to games. I don't know. It's interesting too. Speaking of, we talked about the Switch. They have another, game on the way. Chad actually brought it up and reminded me of it. It is, hold on.
Was it that Link?
Starlink, yeah, Starlink that Ubisoft's making that has like little chips that you have to put on your controller or whatever, and
it's not going to come out.
DOA.
Yeah, no, we've been excited about other games, and they came out. It was last E3, right, when they announced it?
It was shown at E3, yeah.
And
haven't heard a thing of it.
Heard anything since then?
No.
It was a cool idea, but people aren't going to buy it. And I think they had to look at it and say, Disney had just shut down. Lego has since shut down. Skylanders is MIA. Nintendo is just like, here, have some figures, whatever. Starlink's not going to do anything. They know that. They're not going to waste their money. They're not going to put it out. If it comes out, I will come back on the show and say that I was wrong. But it's not going to release in the capacity that they promised it would last year.
I feel like this has gone the way of plastic instruments.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like people got tired of that too because they kept coming out with a game. Pretty much anything that comes out with a game every single year, besides sports games, and even then people still bitch about it, but they still buy them. That's usually the downfall. It's like how many different versions of Guitar Hero do I need before
eventually people go, I don't want any more stuff. It's like why I stopped doing not that I did loot crates long. I signed up, I got like a discount on 3 months, and after those 3 months I was like, I don't need this stuff because eventually you run out of space to keep putting this. Once you realize like this is desk clutter, I don't need more desk clutter. What am I going to do with all of it? So all my loot crate stuff just sits in my office because I have a ton of empty space at work, and I just adorn random stuff. I mean, I think it's cool, but eventually you're just like, this is just more stuff. What do I don't want more stuff?
You either turn into a hoarder or you purge it all and you realize how good that feels. Like you keep the things that really make you happy, that you enjoy having.
Yeah.
But like the little stuff, you're like, well, this says Star Wars on it, so I'm going to keep it because I'm a Star Wars fan. You're like,
right.
Does that really bring you happiness, or are you just trying to keep it because you feel weird about getting rid of something from a brand that you like? And that's what it all is brands. Like, you really want to be that person that just like falls in love with brands and like has their life revolve around brands. It once you step back from it, it's kind of weird, right? Mm-hmm. So it's okay to keep some things that you like and have things around you that make you happy and make you smile. It's about, do you collect stuff because you feel like you need to, or do you collect stuff because you get enjoyment from it? And if you can't even determine which one of those that you fall into, it's probably I do it because I feel like I have to,
Yeah. Well, that's why it's hard. I feel like if you feel the need to just complete a collection because you need to complete the collection, I steer clear of that personally because I don't have a lot of space anyway. So when I started to collect older games, like for the Nintendo and stuff that I had just laying around, I was like, I don't need half of these. Like, I'll keep Zelda and Mario and stuff, but like Bump and Jump, I'm not trying to, do a full.
I remember that game.
Do a full collection of all Nintendo games. Like, I just can't do it, and I don't want to. And once you realize that you don't need to collect everything in a set, like you said, just keep the things that are meaningful to you. Yeah. Then, you're not inundated with an entire room where you can't walk through it. You're like, you have to buy so much storage options. You're like, I've got $1,000 worth of shelving units back here to hold my entire collection of everything. Like that's crazy. I mean,
or even if you go that route, like at least know that like some of it or most of it is going to be a temporary happiness, where like I'm going to enjoy this for a couple years and then I'm probably going to grow out of it or want to get rid of it. And ask yourself, in 10 years, if I get rid of it in 2, 8 years after that, am I going to look back and say, man, I should have kept that? Probably not,
Yeah.
So like, it's okay to collect things and like surround yourself with the things that you love. But you also like have to acknowledge that like it may be temporary. It's not going to be, these are going to be the things that I have the rest of my life.
Right.
Life is too short to box yourself into things.
That's why I stopped reading comics. I was like, what am I going to do with all these comics? I don't have enough space.
I don't have long boxes, and I don't want to buy long boxes. Exactly.
Yeah.
I went through the same thing.
Also, like you can read them digitally and never have to like, you have, one iPad and you have a million comics at your disposal.
Yep. Then it doesn't feel so bad when you're like, and I'm never going to read these ever again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the insight. I appreciate the recap. That's the perspective from Mr. Josh on Toys to Life. What happened? A retrospective.
World-renowned Toys to Life expert.
Yes.
That's right. So now that you've been overwhelmed with the knowledge bomb that Josh has just dropped upon you, I think it's time to refresh. And what better way to do that than an overclocked remix? Lucas, can you fire up the random selector-matic machine?
If you say spin that wheel with a lot of exuberance, I will.
Spin that wheel!
You got it. Oh, sorry, everyone. There you go.
This is my favorite part of the show, by the way.
You're missing it. Sorry. Oh, you got to hear the change.
You got to hear the selection.
Yeah. Number 4, Jason.
Ooh, a game we've never heard of. All right, so tonight's remix is Wings of Glass. It comes from Delta.
Sounds like an 80s
which
song.
You're probably wondering, what the heck is Delta? Well, my friends, Delta was released in 1987 on the Commodore 64 by Thalamus. So there you go. Your guess is as good as mine. This is the title theme. Our remixer is Platonist or Platonist. I'm sure one of those is right. It's EDM, it's psytrance, it's energetic. It's gonna be some rave music. Get your glow sticks out and let's get going. So again, this is Wings of Glass, and you can find this remix and many, many more at ocremix.org. So we're gonna take a break. We're gonna play this overclock remix, and we'll be back to finish out the show. You'll want to stick around. So yeah, we're gonna play it. Lucas, do your thing. That was Overclocked Remix. I hope you had put your glow sticks down. Do not have the red rope licorice. It has been laced with some questionable substance. Stay away from the red rope licorice. Red rope licorice. Sorry, folks. I've been enjoying some drinks tonight. Yeah, that was a little. That's like the old school OCR from my playlist back in the day. Like everything had to be like techno and trance.
Yeah.
You know. Now it's like. It's like the two remixes I avoid the most: piano and techno. So, be that as it may, it's time to move on with the show. It's time to talk a little what you plan.
Oh, it's very quiet.
Oh, it is very quiet. There it is.
My computer. Oh, and we're back to playing more than one.
We're playing everything. Your computer. At first, I was like, "Oh no, Lucas's computer died, and he's streaming the show. Everything's dead now." No.
It lagged at that very moment, so I clicked on what you playing while you were saying it, and I'm like, "Is it going to switch over? Is it going to switch over? It's not going to switch over. Oh my god!"
No,
We've lost
Josh, you're the guest of honor. Regale us with your tales of media glory.
Okay, I have a lot, so I'm not going to spend too much time on everything, but feel
lightning
free
round. I love it.
Ask questions if you'd like.
Okay.
I am playing Wolfenstein 2. I'm starting to go through that. All the Game of the Year discussions in December kind of pushed me into it. I had picked it up before that, and I was kind of sitting on it.
What platform?
PS4. So I'm starting to push through that. It's a very story heavy game, very action heavy. I have bumped it down to easy because I just don't like dying over and over again.
I've heard that about the game. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of brutal. Even on like the default normal medium setting, like it's still kind of tough. And if I wanted to, I could probably get through it, but you kind of start losing the story when you're having to restart from checkpoints over and over and over again. So,
yeah,
starting to push through that. That game goes places in the story. That's be ready. Like if you're planning on playing that, like maybe know what you're getting into ahead of time. It opens pretty intense, and it only goes deeper and darker from there. So
part of me wants to support third parties and like jump on that on the Switch, but then I know like I can get it for like an 1/8 of the price if I get it on PC,
right,
or Xbox for that matter. So yeah. I do want to play that because I really enjoyed the New Order. I didn't play the Old Blood, but like Wolfenstein will always have like a special place in my heart because I loved the original Return to Castle Wolfenstein, and I played way too much of Enemy Territory, so I'm always going to love that franchise. So I'm happy that at least it's relevant once again.
And it has some fun weapons, you know, like it's fun to play. It's not Doom fun, but you know, like you feel kind of overpowered at some points, and that's a cool feeling in a video game when you're just like wrecking shop with really cool futuristic weapons like laser guns and stuff. So but I do recommend people like know what they're getting into when they get that game, you know. It's very intense in many different aspects. So I'm also going back and playing Resident Evil 7 once again.
Ooh.
I so want to play this game. I'm waiting for VR though.
Okay, so they released some DLC over the holiday break, which one of them was free. I think one of them was with the season pass. So I'm going back and playing that. But I will tell you, Resident Evil 7 was one of my favorite gaming experiences, not just from last year, but one of the most memorable gaming experiences I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
I played the first time I played through the game, I was playing it with PSVR. And so I played the entire campaign, start to finish, in VR. And it was horrifying and frightening and intense and like heart attack inducing the entire way through. But I was like, if I'm starting in VR, I'm going to see it through, you know? And I played the campaign all the way through for the first time, completely in VR, and it is something that I will never forget as far as video games.
You're a changed man. You came out the other side a changed man.
Yeah, I lived through some things with that game.
I've seen some
Kevin
shit.
from PSVG has been raving about it. There's been a lot of people talking about it, and I almost I was done with Resident Evil after 5 because I was just like I hated the direction they took it, and I'm interested in playing this.
Yeah, it's back. Like playing Resident Evil in first person, like seemed like it was going to be weird, and it feels like it should have been that way the entire time.
Wow.
Like I'm like, man, why wasn't 1 in first person point of view? You know, and that's the best thing about like the VR mode is it's not a mode, it's the entire game. So like the entire experience is in VR or not in VR, and you could like switch in between. Like you're like,
it's not a gimmick. It's just the game.
You're like, I'm going to take the helmet off and I'm just going to play it normal, and the game doesn't change at all. You know, but like the game itself, like I've played through it 4 or 5 times now, doing various different runs, and I was going for the platinum trophy, which requires a little bit of playtime. But I got down my runs to like 3.5 hours to go through the whole game.
Oh wow! What was your first run time?
In VR? 9 hours or so.
Okay, that's about like that's my sweet spot for games. I think is 9 to 12.
It felt like 40.
I bet.
Just because of the VR. Like I would be playing it. I'm like
2 years.
Yeah. I would take off the helmet. I'm like, man, that was like 5 hours, and kids are like, no, that was maybe 45 minutes. I'm like, no, that was.
It was 5 hours to your body, though. You're actually shortening your lifespan by playing it.
Yeah, big time. So like if you're a Resident Evil fan in any way, shape, or form, unless you're a fan of like just 5, this game brings you back to like all those old feelings of Resident Evil games, in new and fun ways, because it is first person now.
Lucas wants it now. I can tell.
I need it.
And Lucas, it's so good. You do want to play it. I promise.
As soon as it might be one of the few games I buy as soon as it comes out for VR on PC. That's what I'm waiting for, since I think they said it was going to be a 1-year exclusive, at least for PSVR, which I can understand, but that's what VR needs, man. Yeah. So I would expect it to be released in VR, and God knows I don't want to buy it non-VR, and then on Steam half the time they're like, oh, you already own this game? Well, you don't get a discount for the VR. Right. So F off, you can pay full price. So I'm waiting, and I will buy that sucker when it comes out. So,
and this is the game that like proves that like VR can be a full AAA title video game. It doesn't have to be short little demo experiences. Like it's not the prettiest of games. It doesn't have the best graphics, but you lose sight of that so quickly because of the world that you're just immersed in immediately. You know, playing it with headphones, and you're in the VR, and you're just lost. Like you're there in this creepy ass house where everything wants to kill you. It's incredible, man. I wish you would play it soon. Like you will enjoy it.
I will play it as soon as I can.
Yeah. And the DLC that they're adding to it is just like bringing me back in, and the engine is there now, so they could easily turn around and make a Resident Evil 8 off of this engine that they've built. Nice. And you know, this story wraps up, but it's the Resident Evil franchise. Like they could go in so many different directions.
Yeah.
So yeah, big recommendation. One of my favorite games last year by far. So
I wonder what they're gonna do with that experience of making a VR game. You know what I mean? Like, are they going to take this and make something completely different? Are they going to continue having a Resident Evil in VR? You know what I mean? Like, there's not really much we can say about it right now, but it's a weird thing that it was so successful. Probably one of the most successful VR games, I would say.
Oh yeah. Especially like as a full title, like I said, like this proves that like there's no reason why Wolfenstein 2 or Doom couldn't be in VR also. Yeah. You know, like you get that first person perspective. Any of these games can be, you know, and they did it. Capcom, of they're so lost in so many different ways.
Don't rely on Capcom for anything.
No, like they're great at like bringing back like Mega Man collections. Like we trust them with that. But I mean, they messed up Street Fighter, right? Like, how do you do that? Well, they figured out a way to do it. So, like them putting out a fantastic Resident Evil game that also works as a VR title if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Is just like mind blowing. And you look at these other first person perspective games and you're like, every game should do this. Mm-hmm. Why isn't every other company doing this? And I expected 2018 to see a lot more of them, you know?
I hope so.
Third person, like VR, like still feels kind of weird, you know? Like you're there, but you're still kind of watching it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you've experienced that or not. Like
I haven't talked about it on the show yet because I need to play it more. But there's a game that gosh, who made it? I can't remember. But you go, it's all icy and everything, and you have to go find this girl that you know, and you basically do a lot of climbing, like in Tomb Raider, with a pick and an axe, and you walk around, and it's in third person, and yeah, you do feel a lot of the only good. What I can say that's good about it is you can get a sense of depth perception and everything because there's a lot of jumps and stuff to be made in that game. But it is very weird because even though it's transporting you somewhere else, you don't really feel like you're there as much because of the non-first person perspective. So it is kind of weird.
Yeah. You still feel like you're controlling a video game character as opposed to being the video game character.
Yeah, right. I feel like I'm looking down on a table where things are happening, like little miniatures are being moved around or whatever, as opposed to being there. Yeah, Lucky's Tale is especially like that.
Yeah.
So
I you know, if Capcom could do it, any of these other big companies could.
Right, exactly.
No kidding.
What I'm trying to say. Breath of the Wild DLC. I'm bugging through that. Man, it's tougher than I expected it to be. Like I jumped in, I was like, I don't know what I was expecting, but
this is DLC pack 2.
Yes. Yeah. The Champions Ballad.
Ballad of the Champions or Champions Ballad. I don't remember the exact.
So I've defeated now 3 of the divine beasts once again. I'm going off to the 4th one. I just want that sweet motorcycle for no reason. Like I've gotten every shrine. I have like several hundred Korok seeds. Like there's nothing I'm going to do with that motorcycle other than just drive it around for 5 minutes and say that's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. I'm done with that.
But just to say I did it, and it brought me back into a game that I've put in 200 hours, you know, which is awesome. And there was a little bit of a learning curve after putting it down.
Yeah, you gotta like remember how to play the game again. Yeah, I went through the same thing, like trying to do the trial of the sword. You know, it was like I don't even remember how to lock on and swing my sword. This is not gonna go well.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. Like no complaints with it. Like it's not the best DLC, but I don't know what they could have done more with it. You know,
I'm kind of sad though. Now this is it because now like I'm not probably going to go back to Hyrule. You know, and it's
I wouldn't trust that it's it. They put too much time and effort into that game for that just to be the last of it.
I mean, I'd be perfectly okay with that.
Yeah, even if it's like a smaller, you know, next Zelda game with just that same engine telling a different story or whatever, we're going to be back in that world. I think no way Nintendo is just walking away from this. It's too damn good. So we'll see. Well, Nintendo has a lot of tricks up their sleeve this year, I think.
Cardboard.
Yeah, cardboard. Cuphead. Jason,
I want to play it.
You have an Xbox that you've never touched.
Yeah. True. Hey, I just want to say the new changes to Game Pass. I'm very excited.
Oh yeah, like you were with Movie Pass.
Well, I will say this: like right now, I have pre-ordered Sea of Thieves because I wanted to get in the beta that starts tomorrow.
Okay.
But now, you know, why am I going to keep my pre-order for $60 when I can get 6 months of Game Pass and have access to Sea of Thieves right when it starts? It makes no sense. So I'm probably going to cancel it and just jump in with Game Pass and and play that. So, but I do want to play Cuphead.
Have you confirmed that your Xbox even turns on? Like, is it like even plugged in? Like,
it is plugged in. It is plugged in. I will say this, that once I get with my tax money, I am probably going to try to say, Jess, I really want to get a 4K TV because the TV down here doesn't really work that well anyway. And since I have the S, it'd be perfect. And I think once I have like a better, it just bothers me that like my Xbox doesn't fit and the screen that like it should. This TV is only 720p. It just doesn't work.
Is this just like a lot of excuses, or
yeah, basically?
This is.
But it's true.
I can relate. Like, that would bug me too. So
because otherwise, I'm like, I can just dock my Switch here at my desk, and I can play a Nintendo game just fine. Now, I thought about bringing my Xbox over here, but then I'm gonna have to do way too much configuring. Now, I'm interested on the whole Play Anywhere concept, and then using the Xbox app because I'm curious if I can do party chat on my PC via the Xbox app, because if that was the case, then I could I'll just run a cable from the controller into the line-in port on my PC and run audio through my PC. But I want to get a better TV, and then that's my excuse. So better TV, and then I'll play it more, maybe.
Okay.
This is a guy who said he would never. You were like, "Fuck 4K. I don't need 4K."
I did say that, but now I have it. Hey, my Switch backlog is empty, so I don't have any games to play. So now it's a good time to play Xbox.
There you go.
Please do yourself a favor. Look, I'm not the biggest Xbox fan. My Xbox is just an exclusive machine. Like, that's all I use it for. My primary gaming device is the PS4. Now it's slowly becoming the Switch, depending on like which games I want to play and whatnot. So my Xbox, like, I just use for exclusive titles. So I'm not giving you grief as like a super hardcore Xbox fan here. But Cuphead is something that you have to experience. Like, you need to play that game. Like, even if you suck at it, you need to play it and like just see the love and care that went into crafting a perfect video game. Like, it truly is. Like, it's a masterpiece. It's so good. It's hard as balls. But
I love the art style. I've always loved the art style of Cuphead.
Yeah, but like seeing it in motion and like playing, like everything works so cohesively. It's almost stupid to like see each level and you're like, how is this even happening? I don't even understand. You know, like it doesn't make sense that you're controlling this perfectly animated cartoon.
Yeah,
please play it. That's all I ask.
I heard that soundtrack is pretty snazzy as well.
Yeah, it was on the top Billboard for jazz albums when it came out.
Really?
I mean, I don't know what kind of competition the jazz genre has, but
I don't mind a little smooth jazz every once in a while.
Yeah, it's so phenomenal, man. Yeah, just do it.
Talking about all these games I want to play, and I'm just like looking through my wallet, like, I have no money.
But see, I'm talking about old games, so like they're cheaper now, right?
That's true. Right. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, hell, Cuphead is only like $20, isn't it?
It's $20 full price.
Yeah.
You've wasted $20 on more.
Battle of the Beer.
APB.
APB. That's we didn't buy that.
We paid. We paid full price. Thanks to you, Mister.
Oh.
You see that amoeba that's sitting on your shelf behind you? That was only a couple dollars less than the Cuphead experience that you're missing out on.
You piece of shit.
It's true.
I'm just saying.
All right. This is my mission. I must accept it.
Next time I come on, you better have played Cuphead.
I got 2 years.
Yeah. Just do it. Just do it. You won't regret it.
Unless you were wrong, and then you have to come back on.
Okay, then I'll be wrong. That's true. Yeah, I'll come back and say I'm wrong on that one too. Yeah. One of the game I'm playing, Pokemon Go. I'm still playing that game every single damn day.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah. I am all in with that game. It's a fun experience. Like, for my work, I drive around all day in my work van. And it just so happens that various places I go, I have access to swing by parks and rivers and such, and
gosh, perfect.
downtown areas where I could park and Pokemon, and it's just something I play every day. It's better than when it launched. It's not the best gaming experience ever, but it goes back to probably my collector mentality of like, which is what Pokemon's based on. You gotta collect them all, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I just find so much stupid joy in that game. It's just something I play every day, and I know a lot of people have fallen off, but like every time they update the game and add new Pokemon to it, like I still see people gathering outside in public places to play Pokemon together. Like not to the extent of when it first launched, to where it was the craze all over the country.
Yeah.
But to still see people gathered outside early January in the pouring rain to play Pokemon together with strangers, like what, a year and a half after it launched, like that's still a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah. Still those dedicated fans there.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. Two more quick things real quick. They're not like video games per se, they're more board games. I know you guys don't really talk about those too much, but as fathers, you guys are going to have to start thinking about different gaming experiences.
I've already been writing my son's D&D campaign for years.
Perfect.
Now, so. It's like, oh, we're having a kid. Let me get my D&D books back out.
Right. So the first game I suggest you play with your kids is a little game called Cards Against Humanity. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah, it's a fun little family game.
It's great with in-laws. No.
Yeah.
So there's one game one of the kids got for Christmas. It's called Bears versus Babies.
Okay.
It's created by the same people that made the Cyanide cartoon.
Yeah.
Cyanide and Happiness.
Yeah, and the Oatmeal creator. Same
people,
I
love
right?
the Oatmeal.
Yeah. They also made a game called like Exploding Kittens.
Yep.
I don't know if you've heard that.
One.
Yeah. So their newest game is called Bears versus Babies. It's really simple to play. You basically are creating Frankenstein-like monsters with cards that you
that's
get.
Cool.
And they are your monster army. Most of them, or some of them, have the heads of various different bears. There's a panda bear and grizzly bear and so on, and other various heads too. But you're like stitching together body parts, torsos, legs, arms, weapons, etc. The point is to make an army strong enough to go against the baby armies that that are trying to attack you, and gain points. A game lasts like maybe 15-20 minutes tops. It goes by really quickly. It's really silly, but the art is pretty fun. And it's just like one of those like fun games, and it's totally safe for kids. There are like the Exploding Kittens, like they have like a family safe version, and then they have like not safe for work version.
Yeah.
Whereas this game, it's totally like playable with kids. Like there's no adult themes at all or anything like that. So, and the box that it comes in has fur on it.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. If you looked it up on Amazon or something, like that's actual like fur.
I've seen it at Target. I think you can buy it there because I know you can get Exploding Kittens there as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird little game, but it's super fun and super quick and easy to get into and learn. So, one recommendation. Nice. The second recommendation, this is kind of like a mixture of what we've been talking about this whole show, with like collecting things and toys to life and music games. It's called Drop Mix.
Okay.
I am familiar with this one a little bit because Josh, who is in chat, has posted about it before. So
yeah,
Josh is a big board gamer. So
yeah, Drop Mix is a lot of fun. You get a board, an electronic board. You have to throw some batteries in it, just like Xbox controllers. They still haven't figured out how to make rechargeable batteries in a thing. But then you use like any of your smart devices, phone, tablet, whatever, download the app, and that via Bluetooth syncs up to the board game. And then you have cards, like a deck of cards that have NFC chips in them, and you place the cards on the board to create music. So it's all licensed music, a la Rock Band and everything else. But each card is like a different section of the pieces of music. So you'll get like the vocals from Call Me Maybe, you know, or you could get like the drum beat to Down with the Sickness, or, you know, like, so they have it broken up into like the different musical structures, and you play that. You could do like a freestyle mode where you just like mix and matching and playing them down, and they stack on top of each other. So you can make like really cool like DJ mixes, and it'd be great for your guys' OC remix, I'm sure.
The song crafted by Jason and Lucas and these cards.
Right, yeah. That's
right.
I like it.
You could probably just hire me every show, and I could just like DJ for you during the show. That'd be cool.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
I accept all forms of payment, so we're good there.
Oh,
I mean, you guys are rolling in internet cash right now, so
Bitcoin.
I accept Bitcoin. Sure.
Oh, good. I have one.
But the game has a few other modes, like party mode and like battle mode, where you're the game gives you like very specific instructions, like you have to play a certain amount of blue cards, or you quickly have to take off all the different green cards, and you play with a team, or you can play against each other. A lot of fun. It comes with a deck of cards to start out with, and then you could buy different packs to upgrade your arsenal of music to add different genres. Like at Target, you could buy like a pack of cards, which has like 5 or 6 cards in it. And if you go online, you could tell what each pack has inside of it. So like if you're just browsing at the store, it seems like it's a blind pack, but it's all listed online as to what each pack specifically has. Because the top card is always indicative of what's inside that pack. Or you could buy like the genre packs that have like 20 cards in them, I think, but they're listed like hip hop, pop, rock, blues, etc., etc. So like if you're like going for a specific genre of music that you want to play with, like you could kind of cater your experience towards that too. So I just got it last week. I'm still like getting into it. Amazon, the starter pack is $100, which is pricey, but Amazon had them on sale for half off, so I picked it up for $50.
Whoa, that's good.
Yeah, and you know, it just came out late last year, so it's still relatively new on the market. But I read a lot of good reviews. A lot of the different video game websites, Polygon and Kotaku and stuff, like they all had great things to say about it. They had a lot of fun. So it's like the Rock Band experience without having to break out all the plastic guitars and whatnot.
Right.
And there's not a lot of skill involved. It's just mixing and matching music that you're already familiar with to make new interesting things. So it's a fun little thing. It's cool to play with the kids. Like they've enjoyed it. And it's one of those games where you could bring out at a party, not have to spend an hour explaining to everybody how to play it, you know, and lose everybody's interest by then. And, you know, you just give them some cards, you know, like, here, play some music. Here's a beer in one hand and some cards in the other, and have at it. DJ your way out of here. So
I like it.
Sounds like a good Saturday night.
I highly recommend it. If you can find it on sale, like $100 is pretty spendy. Especially for people that like are on the fence with it. But if you could find it on sale, like I would definitely like look into it. So
I want the battle mode to turn into a collectible card game like Magic the Gathering, and have people looking for like that one rare like Beastie Boys Sabotage. Like, I played this card, and everyone's like, oh shit! I'm telling all y'all it's a sabotage.
Oh my God.
Play for keeps.
That's right. Oh boy.
All right, I'll turn it over to you guys.
Shall I go?
Lucas, take it away.
Yeah. I completed some stuff, Jason.
See that?
And Josh, since you're here, I mean, I guess I should.
No, you don't have to talk to me.
I'm speaking specifically to Jason now. Everyone else has to stop listening.
Can you shut off your camera for now, Josh, to just make this less awkward?
A little less. So I beat Rage. It was all right. I don't know. The ending was the worst ending in video game history. Oh my gosh. Awful. Absolutely awful. Does anyone care if I spoil it? It'll be spoilers for anyone who wants to. I'm telling you, I'm not spoiling.
Nobody
you
wants
much.
to play this game.
No, well, I did apparently.
Somehow.
So the whole point is that you came out of this thing called an arc. It's sort of like a vault from Fallout, except for you're just cryogenically frozen and you're not like living your life or whatever. And you come out and you're a little bit more powerful than anybody else because you have certain abilities from before this asteroid hit the Earth that the people who survived outside of being in a vault or inside of an arc do not have. Most of the game revolves around finding other arcs. You're not the only person who was stashed in an arc, and there's plenty around the world to find. However, there's another faction, I guess you'll say, besides like the typical bandits in a post-apocalyptic world, that are basically trying to keep this power to themselves because these arcs are quite powerful and the information they have is very useful to them. So this group called the Authority is basically your main enemy during the entire game. So the last mission, of course, is we found the information that will show us where every single arc in the world is, and it will cause them to all be uncovered. So you go to the last like big base or whatever, which ends up being a super tight corridor shooter where nothing really interesting happens. And you get to the end and you press the button and you see the last cutscene and it's all the arcs popping up out of the ground. And that's the end of the game. That's all you do. Like no
Right.
real like
You
did it. Yep. here's a quick cinematic and now if you want to, wander around the wasteland for no real reason, you can do that. And but other than that, you're done.
But why would you want to?
Right, exactly. So I was a little disappointed with that, but glad to be done with it, I guess. It wasn't everything I was hoping for, but wasn't terrible. There's something there, but quite a odd misstep for id, I feel like.
Does it let you play the game like after you've accomplished the goal, like story wise, or does it like revert you back to like before you went into the final base? Okay.
I think it lets you play after you did it, but I'm not 100% sure because once I saw the ending, I was like, okay, bye, and then pressed escape or whatever. I was like, well, that was obnoxious. And then I looked up on the internet. I'm like, did anyone else find this to be completely stupid? And of course, there's plenty of forums filled with people who are bitching about it. So
maybe you just got the bad ending.
Yeah, I got to play through the game again.
Yeah,
so I can get the. Well, speaking of playing through games again, so Undertale. Josh, do you have any experience with Undertale?
No, it was one of those things where like I heard so many people talking about it. It got to the point where I would never enjoy it the way other people did. It was too overhyped for me to care about.
I kind of felt the same way. I feel like a lot of people were loving on it, and when I started it, I was a little confused. I kind of knew what to expect, but I was like, why does everybody like this so much? It's just kind of like a old school RPG where you like the whole point is that you kind of have this shoot 'em up type dodging system or whatever instead of a typical, press A to battle or whatever that you would typically have. So it was a real long burn for me. But somewhere in between, like halfway through, I kind of got into it weirdly. There's a lot of charm to the game. It's completely ridiculous. Like it has so much goofiness in it that I think a lot of people find it just charming, and I think that is the biggest pull. The music is really good. I would like to buy the soundtrack if possible. And so by the end of it, I kind of came to understand why people enjoy it so much. And without really spoiling too much, I was telling Jason, because I was playing it and I had messaged him that I had finally beat it, and I knew that the point was to play it again after you were done, but I didn't know why that was the point. And then I found out why that was the point, and kind of some things from the beginning came, full circle. And my mind was a little blown. I was pretty surprised at like what happened. It involves restarting the game when you think that it closed accidentally on you, and some other little like mind freaks like that. And so I was like, okay, I'm on board now. I won't say that it's my most favorite like I wouldn't say it's even in my top 10 of games or anything like that. But it definitely left a lasting impression that I was like, okay, I can see why people were so interested in this game.
Yeah.
It was about a 6 or 7 hour playthrough for me. And for the people who have played it and know, I did the neutral playthrough because when you don't know what the hell you're doing, it's almost impossible to do what the game wants you to do. And so I don't know if I'll play through it anytime soon, but I might go back and play it. And, but they say your first time is your best time. So it probably won't be quite as magical. But I feel good knowing that I finished. Huh?
The best time, really, for your first time?
With this game specifically,
Oh,
not
okay.
everything in life.
Okay.
I will say it was a little awkward, and there was some, trying to get things figured out. But by
a
the
lot
end
of apologizing afterwards.
Yeah, a lot of apologizing. But I think we left on amiable terms, and we might do it again sometime. So that was good. Now here's something I wasn't expecting. I completed, and I talked about how I would play the second, well, what's actually the first, but what I thought was the second DLC for GTA 4, which is The Lost and the Damned. I had previously beat Ballad of Gay Tony, and I was like, well, I might go back and play Lost of the Damned at some point, but I'm in no rush. But a funny thing that I realized is that most of the games I'm currently involved in are all fantasy games of some type or another, and I think Grand Theft Auto helps kind of break that up a little bit because otherwise I'm just playing, Final Fantasy 7, Witcher 3, Undertale. It kind of all just blurs together a little bit. So
shooting hookers just grounds you and back in reality. Yeah.
I know. Well, you hire them first, then you shoot them to get your money back, obviously. I mean, that's just economics 101. But anyways, what I learned through my playthrough is that I enjoyed this story a lot more than I did Ballad of Gay Tony. It has kind of a Sons of Anarchy thing going on, and I don't know. I felt like the story was a little bit more cohesive, and maybe that's just because I beat it in such a small amount of time. But it wasn't. I don't feel like it was as long. I don't feel like it was as bloated. I don't know. I breezed through it, and it was an experience, and it was kind of a nice little side story. And now I'm done with GTA 4, so I can uninstall, the 16 gigs worth of. That was the most important part, is getting through it so I can uninstall.
Free up that hard drive space.
Yeah. So, what I'm still playing currently is Final Fantasy 7. I played a little bit of that today. I hadn't got much further, but my God, for anybody who's played this game, when you get over to Mount Nibble or whatever it's called, Nibble, it became a slog for me, dude. I was telling you a little bit. I was texting you. I'm like, why is there an effing dragon inside of this? It's not even a boss, but it feels like a boss battle. And so I was just having a hell of a time. I do all this stuff. I get into this area, and then there's this dragon all of a sudden. And it's the dragon that is in a cutscene from the flashbacks when you have Sephiroth in your party and you're going to Mount Nibble the first time or whatever.
Yeah.
But goddamn, that thing handed me my ass twice. And I had to go all the way back and redo all the shit that I did up to that point. I kept losing like 20 minutes of playtime. It was so annoying. I finally got through it and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. So I can finally continue the story of this game, only to find out that, cause I was doing the optional, what is it called? What is it? Wu-Tai, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang Clan is the name of the optional city. And that's where Yuffie steals your materia. So pretty much when that happens, you're like, and that means you have no magic for those uninitiated. When your materia gets stolen, all you have is attacks. Yes, she did dance upon my magic, and she stole it. And Yuffie is a bitch, and I hate her because she's awful. And also, I don't really understand why she was doing it. Like, she kind of tells you, but to bring Wu-Tai back into the glory days. But I don't know how materia helps with that. Don't
you worry about that.
Yeah, I won't question it. She's a ninja after all. So I started doing that, and now I'm stuck doing that because I didn't realize that my stuff was going to get stolen, and that's a whole trip. But that's where I'm at right now in that game. And I having not beat it, and I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't remember any of this stuff, and I'm probably farther than I've ever been. I have a lot of nostalgia for this game, honestly. I'm having a blast playing it just because there's no graphical settings to enhance. There's no, thankfully with the Steam version, there's no trying to get it to work. It just does. And it's a great way. It's a great way to experience Final Fantasy VII. The higher resolution helps, kind of make it the way that you remember it in your mind, which is always nice. So yeah. I'm just having a fun time with it, and I just play it here and there whenever I feel like it. I'm in no rush, and it's kind of one of those things like you were talking about, Josh. Now I can say I did it when I finish it. I'm doing it so I can say I did it. It feels weird to say that you like a game that you haven't beat before. Like, oh yeah, I love that game. I got 2 hours into it. So great. So I got to put my gamer cred is on the line, and I have to put my money where my mouth is and beat this damn thing. So that's what I'm gonna do. Witcher 3 still playing. That's my main squeeze right now. Loving that game. Getting better at the combat. I found that timing is a pretty big deal in the game. You don't just smash X until everything's dead, which is usually what I do. But in this game, you kind of have to pace yourself a little bit. I experienced horse combat for the first time. That was interesting. I like the way they did it because it slows time when you're like, you get near an enemy and you hold down the attack button. It'll slow time down a little bit so you can more easily attack and actually land a hit. And I still feel like I'm flailing around and riding around in circles like an idiot. So if they hadn't slowed down time, I can only imagine what it would look like in real time. So a lot of whiffs. Enjoying the game. Getting a handle on Gwent, which is actually more fun than I first thought it was going to be, and yeah, just playing around in that world and experiencing the very deep high fantasy story. And then lastly, I got a movie.
Hold on, I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
You play all your games on Steam, right?
Yes.
Do you ever miss the console experience?
Yes, all the time. I was just thinking about this the other day. I miss being able to just sit in a comfy living room or gaming area and just kind of lay back and chill and kind of play in a more relaxed position, I guess.
Right. You have Steam Link.
I do have Steam Link. And I could do that, but especially for Witcher 3, I'm just like, I don't know how that's going to run considering it's already, I can hear my graphics card just almost exploding when I start it up. And it's like almost a 3-year-old game now. So, yes, I do miss it. And I kind of wish that I had, a console, but at the same time, my roots are in the PC, so I mean, you got to take the good with the bad, I guess. Sure. Obviously, the best option would be to have both, but until I get that Switch money, that'll be portable anyway, so I can just play on the toilet, which is obviously my most favorite place to do anything.
Living the dream now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, having fun with Witcher 3, and then lastly, I did fit in a movie. It was when I was early last week. I think it was Wednesday, actually, when I still kind of wasn't feeling well. I was like, I'm just going to watch a movie. And I recalled seeing that Creep 2 was on Netflix, which we had as a Netflixation, and it turned out to be a pretty good Netflixation, especially for a horror movie where that genre is, I mean, you have to wade through a lot of shit on Netflix before you find a good horror movie. Josh knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, they bury them sometimes.
Yes. Well, because they have so many bad ones. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So Creep 2, obviously don't watch it unless you've seen the first one. I don't think you'll get as much out of it. And I think that was the biggest part for me. Not to spoil it. I won't spoil it. But I think knowing what you learn about the character in Creep really sets you up to question what's happening in the second one regarding everyone's motives in the movie. So it's him, what's his Mark Duplass's character from the first one, and then a woman who is doing basically a YouTube show where she kind of goes on Craigslist, finds some weird people to talk to, goes and films it. And that's, I think it's called like Strange Encounters or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's like why she goes and answers his Craigslist call. And I think that it ended up working out really well for believability as to why she kind of sticks around when things get weird. And I really enjoyed that aspect, because a lot of the time you're just like, if it's really like that scary and you're really that scared, why don't you just leave at the first sign of danger? But she has a little bit more stuff going on that makes her want to stay, and I found that to be pretty compelling. So I enjoyed Creep 2, and I would compel people who haven't seen the first one to watch that and then do watch the second one. It is a slow burn, but I feel like it paid off in the end. So
yeah,
I felt like her character was like a really good representation of like how the audience is supposed to feel. Like,
yeah,
do you trust him? You don't really trust him because he's kind of like really abrasive and strange, but you're still intrigued.
Yeah, he's
but
like
also like
goods.
Really frightened. You know?
Yeah.
Is the werewolf mask still a thing?
Yeah, Peach Fuzz. Peach Fuzz is still there.
Yes.
Yep.
It's just as weird, but I would say the weird factor isn't quite as high as it was in the first one. But there are some things that do happen that, and that's probably just because like
exactly
the wolf mask and stuff. You know what that means, but that's part of the fun. And I think that it's a little meta in that sense, but I think it's enjoyable because of it as well. So
it's
really
less shocking because you know him already.
Yes, exactly. But now you're thinking more psychologically than you are like
do we really
just yeah. I feel like in the first one I spent half the time just confused and like, what is going on? And then it clicks at the end, whereas here you're just like, how is this going to play out?
Right.
This intrigues me. So that's about what you playing, man.
Boom. Well, for me, I finally, after Kevin challenged me last episode, I did jump into Thimbleweed Park, and after like 30 minutes of remembering how to play this game and what I was doing, I made it my focus, and I did complete it. Crazy ending that I did not expect. The whole game likes to break the fourth wall very much, and has a really interesting twist. Love the humor throughout the game. Really enjoyed it. It was a great throwback to the adventure games that I loved playing in my younger days. So I can fairly wholeheartedly recommend that to anyone that's a fan of the genre. Great writing, great humor, great voice acting throughout the whole thing. It was really awesome to see. Not too much else I want to say about it because I don't want to give it away. It's a really cool experience to play through, and I loved being able to play it on the Switch. Much like any game, if I can jump in and out so easily and take it portably to play on lunch breaks, things like that, it's huge benefit. So after that, I went to the next game on my backlog, which was on the Switch as well, Blossom Tales, which is something I had barely scratched the surface on. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna play Blossom Tales. And yesterday I finished that, or excuse me, today I finished that. I was like, oh, nice. Wow, I didn't expect it to end as shortly as it did. It is essentially Link to the Past light. Great game. Yeah. Definitely pays. It's a love letter to Zelda with its items, its gameplay, some of the writing. But it's fun. It's refreshing. It can be really difficult, but it was a fun game. I was surprised at the length. It took me less than 8 hours to complete it. I didn't by any means 100% it, but I had completed the game, and even after I did finish it, I still went around and was like finding more heart containers and things of that nature and exploring the world. And I found some items I hadn't gotten yet. But really a fun game. I'm looking forward to see what we see in the future from this developer. And really what this made me realize is that I want another top-down Zelda game. I really wanted to go back to that old school style too. Like I love Breath of the Wild and everything it is, but I really enjoy the mechanics of that, the dungeons of the old school Zeldas. And this was a great game. I mean, for the price, I think I want to say it's $15 on the eShop. Really great get up, especially with like the length of it. I mean, it was easily digestible and just a fun experience to play through. And
it's been about 8 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not too bad.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's on Steam too, Lucas, if you're ever interested.
I saw they actually have a demo for it, which is rare, I feel like, these days.
Cool. I mean, it's not going to blow you away with like a story or anything like that, but it's got solid gameplay, good music, and it's just a fun game to play. So, I mean, that really checks the boxes.
It looks like a game I'd rather play on the Switch, honestly. It has a Switch look about it, and I don't know. There's just some Undertale kind of felt that way too.
Yeah,
I feel like I should be playing this on a portable.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see that get ported to Switch at some point. I just feel like it would fit on that platform. Yeah. And then lastly, the last thing I want to add, this is a disclaimer. You guys don't want to watch. You guys don't want to watch this, and that is the Open House, which hit Netflix on Friday.
I just watched it the other night.
Do you share that same viewpoint with me, or did you?
I liked 95% of the movie.
Yeah,
and then the ending happened, and I was so pissed.
Horrible, atrocious ending.
How they messed that up.
The pacing is great for like 95% of the movie. I will say that, but then the ending, it's just like done, and it just throws it at you. It does all this good suspense and build up throughout the whole film, and then everything just gets thrown out the window, and then it ends. I mean, this is like really, you can tell, like I immediately when I see a film that I'm like really like feel very conflicted about, I'll do some internet searching on it, and I was reading other reviews and other things. I don't know if it's true or it's just people are speculating, like, the filmmakers really took inspiration from The Strangers, which I see.
Okay.
But I also like, I guess I could say I like that movie. Like, but what Strangers at least did something that this doesn't really give you much of. It at least it never like. I can't really expand upon that without giving away the film. So I guess I won't travel down that route. But just disappointing ending.
It did so much right. It did so much right, and then just shit the bed at the end.
Yeah, ending is terrible, and like it does a really bad. Like introduces other characters that are completely insignificant and have no point. It's a letdown. Like my wife and I really like scary movies, and especially we saw something new. I showed her the trailer, and she was like, "Oh, I want to watch this. I feel like I've seen the whole movie now in the trailer, but it looks good." And we watched it, and we were both just like, "What the hell?" And just like, then it feels like we just wasted 2 hours because like if the ending was bad, it just ruined the whole movie. So
yeah, I was looking at user reviews on IMDb, which this movie has a 3.4 out of 10 on IMDb, which I'm guessing a lot of people pissed about the ending. But somebody said, I feel like they just kind of ran out of money at the end, and so they were like, "Oh, let's just end it."
Let's wrap it up here.
So, view at your own risk. If you do watch it, I'm interested to see what you thought, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you are on the fence, don't do it. It's not worth the investment. It's not even worth the cost of your Netflix subscription. I mean, you're just throwing your money out the window.
I might have to look at it just to see why it's so bad. I mean, sometimes
I think you should watch it because I'd be interested to hear your take on it. But
yeah,
and then so I can
you
via text message.
Yeah, they're learning experiences. It's like what not to do when you're making a movie or writing a movie. End it randomly and immediately, and like I feel like you'd be less mad if it wasn't so good in the beginning. Like you were like, okay, now you got me, and then this is how you're gonna end it. Never mind.
Right.
If you watch it, I would say enjoy every moment of it up until near the end. There's a very significant thing that happens that's very dramatic and emotional. Mm-hmm. Once that happens, turn off the movie and just walk away. Like that would be the best experience for that film.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a turd. It's a polished turd.
Unfortunately.
So that is our What You Playing. Let's round up the show. It's time to close things down. We got a little community grab bag because we do have a question. We do have a listener question to answer.
Wow.
Lucas, there it is. That's soothing music. We have a question that came from Mr. Nathan Thomas. You might know him from PlayStationVideoGames.com. You might know him from That's Entertaining. But Nathan's a new dad. He's new to this world of parenting that we're all trying to navigate. Well, at least Lucas and myself, as Josh is well versed now. He's very well.
I stopped trying years ago.
I just pretend like I know what I'm doing.
And Nathan has a question. At what point does the baby spit up not make you go, ew, gross? I gotta go take a shower and burn these clothes. I'm asking for a friend. Let's call him Dad Anthony. I love the Fluxtaposed joke.
Isaac never really spit up that much, honestly. It was so little and so not messy that it never really bothered me. I don't think I ever had the spit up on the shirt on the clothes thing happen to me.
See, the clothes don't bother me, but it's like if I'm holding him and then he spits up on my flesh, like my hand, and it's not that it's spit up, but it's just like wet and warm at the same time, and those are just two things that shouldn't be. I don't know why.
Unless there's random meat falling, and then
random. Then you're praising the gods.
Yeah.
The meat gods.
For me, after like the second, like everything, like with kids, once whatever it is, once it happens a second time, you get into the mode of this is just gonna keep happening. So why fight it?
Yeah,
this is just my existence now.
Yeah, just go with it.
And so, normally it would bug me if it was anybody else, but I do remember when Isaac went to bed with a belly full of chocolate milk, and he woke up not feeling great, and I think he got overheated, and I got him out to the kitchen, and all of a sudden he's just like, he was like, it's so chunky, and I was so worried because that's the first time he ever threw up that I didn't even think about how gross it was. Which, thinking back at it, if it was like my wife, I'd be like, "Ew, gross! Go puke somewhere else where I can't hear you."
Bye-bye.
And like shove her into the bathroom or something. But here, I'm just like, "Oh, poor kid. I feel so bad for you."
Right.
When it transitions from like baby spit up to like that's actual person throw up, that's a hard thing to get used to. I'm sorry, like vomit to this day still just gets me. And it's
my wife can't stand, like she can't, like the thought of, if she ever has to, the thought of it would like freak her out so much, so she like can't be even on TV. She can't see it, so we're in for
one of you will have to.
Yeah. I guess it's you. Yeah,
it's me.
It's always
one of you.
That doesn't get any easier. I'm sorry. That doesn't get any better. Enjoy the spit up right now. Like you will miss the spit up when it comes to that. Macaroni and cheese everywhere, all over the. No.
Well, there you have it, Nathan. Good luck, my friend. Enjoy the journey.
It never gets better. Is basically what I'm saying.
No, it never gets better. So, Lucas, Josh, with that, I think it's time.
Wow.
We pack it up, shut it down, burn it to the ground, and rebuild it all once again next week. Josh, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out with us for these past few hours. It's been fun. It's been good having you on, man.
Yes,
thank you for listening to my demands when I forced my way on the show.
Hey, I'm going on your podcast. You okay with that? All right, come on board.
I feel like that's how most people get on our podcast. I mean, we're very like lay down and show our bellies when it comes to people demanding things. We're just like, okay, take whatever you need.
No, thank you guys. True. This has been fun.
Awesome. Glad to have you, man. As always,
wait. Is he our first live guest?
He is our first live guest.
Milestone, dude.
And to celebrate, here, we'll do this live. I was going to do it after the show, but to celebrate this occasion, I want you guys to go back to your show notes.
Oh, okay. Show notes. We don't have show notes on Fluxtaposed. We do this all off the cuff.
What?
Right. Sorry.
I see it.
To break that. Enjoy. I expect updates.
You're not gonna
what
tell
is
us?
This? What is this nonsense? Why? Josh has picked random keys to games in our show notes.
This will serve as content for a few weeks. So
You didn't have to do that, dude. That's awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Yes, thank you. Well, thank you, but tentatively until I find out what it is. It could be, honey, what is that?
Hello
Honey
Kitty
Pop
Island
or-
Adventure?
Yeah. Why are you buying me basically hentai stories on Steam?
it's not yours until you redeem it.
Lucinda's Tentacle Journey. Oh.
Yeah, I played that one.
VR,
It's pretty
okay. Cool.
Part 2.
good. The best one, honestly.
Well, now all future live guests have something. I mean, now you set a
Yeah.
precedent.
I mean, come dressed to impress.
Yeah, I was gonna say you dress well.
Yeah, I bring gifts.
Yeah.
What else can you need from a guest? I'm just saying, everybody else has a bar.
We need you to carry
Yeah,
the production a little bit.
The
So,
bar is quite high now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Something. To look
I think I just took over Josh #1 spot with that.
Oh.
Boom.
It took me 2 hours, but we figured it out.
We
Yeah.
figured it out.
We did.
As always, we invite you to follow the show on social media. You can find us on Facebook and the Twitterverse as Fluxtaposed. Give us a ratings on iTunes where you're at. We'd enjoy that. But most importantly, we have to say thank you to all our awesome supporters on Patreon that helped made this live show possible. We want to thank you guys all so much. But a special thanks to our Arbiters of Awesomeness, Sean Capri, Edwin Calla, Tyler Rowland, and our newest patron, Nathan Horton. Thank you so much for your support. We love you guys. And much love to our executors of excellence, Josh Verbone, Dan Anthony, and Siri Renee. It's the love you guys give us through your pledges, your faith in us that help make this show better. So with that said, we're gonna end the show. We'll be back next week for more Fluxtaposed. Let's do something stupid and random and horrible to end it like we always do. Lucas, do it. Do something now. Entertain me. Very good. I'll be waiting in the bushes of love.
Oh, we don't have any more music.
It was almost perfect.
That
It almost
was-
ended perfectly.
Almost.
Almost. So with that,
Bye.
we're done. We're done. Bye, everybody.
Bye.